What's good, Seahawk fans? Tyler Jones here with you. So glad to have you with us on this Wednesday afternoon. Thanks for spending it with us. It is Seahawks Today live. We have a big show on tap here for you. Coming up in just a bit, we're going to talk about the possibility of the Seahawks drafting Anthony Richardson and re-signing Geno Smith. CBS Sports is suggesting the Seahawks should do so. Also, should the team potentially bring back Rashaad Penny? We'll tell you a possibility of what it would take to make that happen. We'll go over the team needs for the Seahawks this offseason, and we will have not one, but two live Q&A rumors mailbags coming up on today's show. Jeremy Chuggs is here with me in the house today. Chuggsy, welcome back. Good to have you here this week. How you doing, my guy?
Good to be back. Always good whenever I'm with the flock. Always loving it.
Well, you're not with the flock. That's Baltimore, but
a different flock.
Different flock. Okay.
Birds of a feather.
The 12s. Yes. Crack open a cold one. It is happy hour here on Seahawks Today. Let us know a player that you think the Seahawks should draft as.
It is Henry already has a question for you.
Who is Anthony Richardson? Well, glad you asked.
We're going to be going in depth on that.
We will tell you everything you need to know. You will know who his mom and dad are, his sister. You'll know where he went to high school, who he took to the prom. We'll tell you everything you need to know about Anthony Richardson. What do you want to know about Anthony Richardson? We'll tell you here in a bit. I'm seeing Dalton chiming in. If you got questions, use that hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat to get on our mailbags that we'll have for you later. And get your votes in on our poll question if Seattle should draft Anthony Richardson. So far, 56% of you say yes, 44% say no. And what do you think, Jeremy? I'm going to give my thoughts later, but I want to hear from you first, Jeremy. What do you think about the idea of Anthony Richardson in Seattle?
I just think it's a project.
Yeah.
If I'm the Seahawks, I try and trade back if I can or get best player.
On which pick, or both?
On the first pick.
On the fifth pick. Okay, fifth overall, yeah.
I try to trade back if I can. I'd love to get a first-rounder next year if that's possible. I think next year's quarterback class leaps and bounds better than this year's.
Yes.
But I don't know. I don't know, especially that early on, I don't really like a project in the top 10, me personally.
Yeah. James says get Jarrett Hall in the fourth.
He was bad at the Senior Bowl.
He did not play good.
He was bad.
Bad. Mark Sanchez gives a boo already to Anthony Richardson. I'll share my thoughts on Anthony Richardson here in just a bit. I have some strong opinions, some spicy takes.
If somehow Will Anderson falls down, I'm definitely taking him over a project quarterback. You like what you have in Geno. I still think the best case scenario for the Seahawks is they trade back from that number 5 pick, are able, maybe if there's a team in the teens and the 20s that really wants to trade up really, really bad, and you can get a first rounder next year, you're sitting pretty.
So let me preface this by saying, too, that the report from CBS Sports that we're going to talk about today of this idea of drafting Anthony Richardson, that's with the 20th pick, not at 5. But still, though, we will go into all those details on Anthony Richardson and see what you guys have to say.
And with all the buzz, I don't know if he falls to 20.
Yeah?
There's been a lot of people talking about putting him in that 10 to 15 range.
Yeah. There's a demand for quarterbacks in this league. And, we'll see who slides and who stays. Mark says draft Osiris from Florida. We're going to talk about Osiris, actually, coming up later on.
There's also a demand for beer boots.
There is. We have a new boot. We have 2 members on it so far. Ashley and Mark Sanchez are on it. But I would love to induct some more members. $100 gets you a spot in the Boot Hall of Fame. We'll do an induction ceremony for you and everything. Any Super Chat, get a shout-out. $2, you can ask me or Jeremy Chuggs anything. You can ask us.
Actually, we have some Seahawks breaking news that just happened. Adam Schefter Jeremy Fowler just tweeted out, Bucks are interviewing Seahawks QB coach Dave Canales for the OC job. Per source, Canales had a second interview with the Ravens this week, now set to meet with Tampa.
graphic-wise, can we put that at the bottom of the rumors show?
Yeah, I can.
Just a big L3, and we'll end with that.
Let me make a quick social graphic with that.
Okay, yeah. We'll put that at the very end of the show. Canales, good for him. He's been looking at opportunities, throughout the offseason. His name's come up for a few different jobs.
The second part of that breaking news is Cardinals do not plan to hire a head coach until after the Super Bowl. They're not doing any more interviews this week. I don't know what that means, but sounds like nobody wants to coach Kyler Murray.
Why would anyone want that Cardinals job? The Cardinals are a disaster. But Super Chats, we'll certainly love to get you on the Boot Hall of Fame. We'd love to take down a boot today, $150, and we will take down Das Boot. I've already got my Bud Light in hand, but love to drink some more. Who do you got in the Super Bowl, Chiefs or Eagles? On Sunday afternoon, the big game between these two teams. This one, it's going to be a dogfight. I can tell you that much right now. I got to tell you, Jeremy, I'm going to be rooting for the Chiefs, but I think the Eagles are the slightly better team here. I like the Eagles. My official Super Bowl pick this year, Philadelphia 34, Kansas City 31. The over hits, the Eagles win, and they bring home the Lombardi Trophy in a game that comes down to the wire. I think that you have the better quarterback in Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes, and you got one of, if not the best tight ends of all time. But beyond that, Philadelphia is better at almost every position at that point than Kansas City. I'm going with the Eagles. Who do you got? Type KC for Kansas City. Type PHI for Philly. Let us know in the comment section who you are rolling with in the Super Bowl. We'll shout you out. It is Henry says KC. Seahawk UK says Philadelphia. The club says Philadelphia. I believe Mark was taking Philadelphia last week. Yeah, was his pick. Yeah, that's Jeremy's second team behind the Seahawks. Jeremy loves the Eagles. Let's see. James says move Coby to outside corner and have Brian Branch to the nickel corner. Brian Branch, he's the safety / cornerback from the University of Alabama. Club says Seahawks need a better D-line. You're not wrong about that. Let's show that. We have the tweet from Jeremy Fowler there. Yeah, let's show that. This is from Jeremy Fowler just a few moments ago, tweeting the Bucs are interviewing Seahawks quarterback coach Dave Canales for the OC job. Per source, Canales had a second interview with the Ravens this week, now set to meet with Tampa. So good for Dave that he's looking at getting some opportunities. He has been so loyal to Pete Carroll. He's been there since the very beginning. I think that if you're Seattle here, obviously you do not have a OC opening. You're pretty pleased with Shane Waldron. I would find a way, because Canales is very valuable for the Seahawks coaching staff, what he's done over the years. I would try to make him some type of offer he can't refuse and give some type of title that makes it worth staying in Seattle, some type of assistant head coach or associate head coach position. You're not going to make him your OC, but if you can make it worth his while to stay, that'd be good. The old
Jerry Jones and Dan Quinn move.
Right. Where
pay a DC head coach money.
Right. Maybe you pay Dave OC money for a non-OC position to keep him around. But we'll continue to monitor that to see if he ends up leaving on that front there. Who's a player the Seahawks should add this offseason? What do you guys think in the chat? Chat's kind of quiet right now. Guys, wake up a bit. Tell me who you think the Seahawks should add in the comment section, whether it's trade, free agency, draft. Who's somebody you want to see?
James Watson was saying 20th pick, I like Osiris, Brian Branch, or Cam Smith.
Yeah?
Cam Smith, pretty good prospect out of South Carolina.
Jay Norris in the chat says, if Jalen Carter and Will Anderson is taken, would you rather have Tyree Wilson or Miles Murphy? Don't think C.J. Stroud would be available with that answer. I personally would lean towards Miles Murphy, but
the thing is with that, too, if both of those guys are taken, that means one of the three top quarterbacks are still on the board. I still think that you can trade down.
Yeah?
Because you have the Raiders sitting right there at 7.
Yeah. Jade Norris, I like Miles Murphy a little bit more than I do Tyree Wilson, but I think Jeremy's got the right idea of potentially trading down at that spot To me, that might be the right. I think that's the more correct answer, and then see what guy is still there potentially. Jaden, can I tempt you with the new boots? Jaden, I know you were on the old boot a couple times. What do I have to do to get Jaden Norris and others on the boot today? $100 gets you a spot. I would love to induct some Boot Hall of Fame members today. Let's have a party. Let's get wild on Seahawks. It's a Wednesday, but that doesn't mean we can't have a good time.
J-Dog says D-line Miles Murphy from Clemson.
Okay. So it seems like just by gauging the chat, Jeremy, the players that our comment section like for the 2 picks, Osiris from Florida, the offensive guard,
yep.
Miles Murphy and Tyree Wilson seem to be the odds-on favorites for the Seahawks 2 selections.
I think if you could trade back 3 or 4 spots and still get either Murphy or Tyree Wilson, that'll be a huge win.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Jaden says, I'm planning on joining the boot on the next draft day. Okay.
Hey, let's go.
Jaden, I like that.
It's going to be a good day.
Draft is coming up. It'll be here before we know it, about 2 months away.
Oh, yeah.
From the draft. We got plenty of time to discuss the draft between now and then. So we'll show the let's see, we're at, 10 likes right now? Guys, we got 52 people watching right now. Get the likes up. Hit that like button.
And
if you love the Seahawks, you want to have a good time today, hit that like button.
I see people asking questions. I see people having thoughts in the comment section. Go ahead and use hashtag Seahawks. Get on our mailbag. We got 2 mailbags coming up. Use hashtag Seahawks to be a part of the mailbag. Let us know who you think the Seahawks should draft, who you think they should sign in free agency, what you would do to make the Seahawks better than the 49ers next season. Kind of a steep hill to climb, Tyler, but
right.
You know, we've seen it before. We were just talking in the office a little bit ago. The Bengals, not so long ago, bottom of the AFC North. They were easily the worst team in the AFC North. Now, I mean, almost made it to 2 Super Bowls in a row.
Right.
Oh!
All right, Mark with the first super chat of the day, $20 super chat.
Mark.
Mark gets the party started. Mark wants to have a good time today. Setting the tone early. I like it. Mark says, shots and a question. That's 2 shots. What do you think about Cowherd's trade? First, second, fourth, next year's first, second, and Geno for Lamar Jackson, sign and trade for the players. So I have been following the Ravens trade side pretty closely for no particular reason. And I got to tell you, I like Lamar Jackson. He is a terrific football player. But think about this, what you're talking about. What is that? 2 firsts, 2 seconds, a fourth, and Geno. All for Lamar. And then have to pay him, what, $230 million in guaranteed money? To me, you look at it this way, Jeremy. You got a lot last year in that Russell Wilson trade. Do you essentially want to give all of that back to bring in Lamar Jackson? I don't think so. I look at it this way. If I think the ideal situation is that you pay Geno for 2 or 3 years. If it doesn't work, so be it. It was only a 2 or 3 year run. And in that time, whether it's this year or next, you draft a young quarterback and then you reset the clock on a rookie deal.
Yeah.
Now, I'll talk about this later on, but I'll reiterate again. Mark, here's a good point I would say, because that's all I do here is make good points. Here's what I would look at. If it's not Stroud or Young that you're selecting, that's fine. But you have to get a quarterback next year. And Jeremy brought this up earlier. Next year's quarterback class looks pretty dang good when you're talking about Caleb Williams, Drake May, Quinn Ewers potentially. Next year's quarterback class, to me, I would say I like Stroud and Young, but knowing what you have next year and resetting that rookie clock, I would be hesitant on trying to give all that up for Lamar Jackson. But nonetheless, I would say no to that. But I see where Colin and some of these others are looking at that. You know, they want Seattle to go all in on a franchise quarterback. But I got to tell you, Lamar's been injured. He's missed 10 games the last 2 years. He hasn't played as well since his MVP season. And honestly, I think the Ravens are going to keep Lamar. I think they're going to extend him anyway, and they're going to keep him around. So I'm out on that idea, but nonetheless, let's take some shots. Let's have a good time. Cheers to you, Mark Sanchez. 2 shots headed your direction. What do you think about that evaluation there, Jeremy?
The only thing that scares me is that, Zombie Wolf, go ahead and put hashtag Seahawks on that because I know Tyler has some thoughts on Derek Carr. Zombie Wolf, use hashtag Seahawks in your comment or super chat to get that on the screen. But, I mean, the only thing that scares me with that is that, like you said, you're giving up a lot of draft capital. You're giving up a lot. Obviously, a great player. You're going to have to pay him. The only thing that concerns me is since his MVP season, Lamar has not had a healthy season.
Right.
And playing up against the 49ers, we all have to admit, they have a very good defense, some guys who can hit hard.
Right.
So if it's a concern with the injuries, you don't want to invest all your draft capital, all your cap space into a guy, and then at the end of the season, he's not able to play for you.
Right.
Which, does he play this year if he has a contract set up in place? I think so, but still, which obviously he can't control. You can't predict injuries in the future. But a guy who's had so many injuries kind of piling up, that would worry me about trading away so many draft picks and giving up all your cap space, because then that means you won't be able to make your team any better.
Right.
And you have to think about it like this: Lamar Jackson on the team this season, you're not getting any better. Lamar Jackson on this team, are you winning a Super Bowl? The answer is no. I think you don't make the trade.
Yeah, and the answer is no. Lamar's not the difference in this team winning a Super Bowl right now. They need help on that offensive line. They need help on the defensive line with those guys there. Lamar's not that difference maker right now for this team. Not exactly what they need at this moment, as far as I'm concerned. Would it help? Yeah, sure, but not necessarily that. Raw Hector says draft Chugs with the number 5 pick.
That's a steal.
Chugs, what position did you play in football?
Left guard.
Left guard
and linebacker, middle linebacker.
Okay, so you could go both ways. Seahawks need both those positions. So, Chugsy, would you be willing to start both ways?
I am willing to play both ways. Bonk.
Okay. That's an offer. And you'll take the rookie minimum?
Yep. I'll take a mere $200,000 signing bonus. Just bring me out to camp. I'll show you what I have, and then we can go from there. $200,000 signing bonus, it's nothing. I'll show you my skills. I'll go out there. I'll compete at the left guard and the middle linebacker positions, and then we'll evaluate from there. I mean, if I get a starting spot, if I get a backup spot, then we can do a contract accordingly.
You were a pulling guard.
Yeah.
You love to pull.
No babies so far, so I'm pretty good at it. With that, like the video so we can get started on today's show.
We're at 18 likes right now. Let's get to 30 at least. And then when we get to that 30 mark, a little extra incentive. I'll even take a shot just because we can. So 18 likes right now. I need 12 more, and then we can officially start the show. Whenever we get 12 more likes, then we get going. Coming up on today's show, the latest Seahawks news and rumors. We'll talk about the possibility of drafting Anthony Richardson. Also, should Seattle re-sign Rashaad Penny? What are the team needs for the Seahawks? We'll expand on those and tell you what they should do to address those, lay out my 5-point plan to fix the Seahawks.
The New Deal.
The New Deal. The Art of the Deal. Jeremy's favorite book. And then we're having 2 live Q&A mailbags today. Use the hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat to get to the front of the line on the mailbag.
And see, James Watson, Danny H., great comments, great questions, but you didn't use hashtag Seahawks, so I can't put it up. So James, Danny, if y'all want to have that question or that comment up on the screen, go ahead and use hashtag Seahawks, or you can Super Chat like our MVP of Seahawks today.
Like Mark Sanchez.
Mark Sanchez.
With another 20. I got to take 2 more shots.
Let's get
more shots and a question. I like that.
Would you trade Darrell Taylor, or is it Darrell? Darrell Taylor and Trey Brown for more draft capital? As I said before, this draft is saturated. Great word, Mark.
Saturated.
This draft is saturated with defensive talent. This draft has a ton of good cornerbacks.
Jeremy likes to get saturated.
To the second, third round, this draft has a ton of good quarterbacks. I wouldn't mind trading these guys. The only problem is, and it comes with a lot of teams, is you're like, I don't really like this guy. He hasn't had a ton of production. He has a lot of upside. You can't trade upside. If you're trading upside, you're going to get a fourth, maybe fifth round pick for a guy. If you're looking at, this guy has a lot of upside. Because you got to think the team taking them on has a lot of risk. So
right.
You're not getting a second, third, maybe a fourth rounder for either of these guys. Correct me if I'm wrong.
You're not getting much.
I don't think you're getting – I mean, Darrell Taylor, Trey Brown, they've shown glimpses. But to get a first, second, maybe even third round pick for a guy, they've had to have shown that they can be a quality starter in this league. And even more than that, a good starter in this league.
Right. We've seen flashes from Darrell Taylor. Trey Brown, he hasn't really been healthy. He missed most of last year. And even when he was back, he didn't see the field much. So you're not going to get much for either guy. I would say this. I'd be open to the possibility, open to the discussion. But you might be better off just keeping them and seeing if they develop.
And they're both on rookie deals. So, I mean, maybe it's one of those situations, Mark, where you play them this year, you see if they improve, see if their stock kind of goes up. If at the end of the year, Darrell Taylor or Trey Brown has a pretty good season, you don't want to re-sign him, that's when you go ahead and trade. You want to trade – I mean, it's just like the stock market. You know, you want to buy low and sell high. So right now, you'd be selling kind of low on these guys.
Right. I need 2 more likes to start the show, and I'm taking a shot when we get to 30 likes. So 2 more, where are you guys at? As we have another $5 super chat from Mark Sanchez. And that means we got to sing the DK song. We'll get to that here in a second, but let's answer this question. Hashtag Seahawks. If Bijan Robinson drops out of the first round and lands at our first second-round pick, should the Hawks take him?
Yes.
Yes.
100% yes.
So Jeremy and I think we're on the same page on this of most of the time you don't draft a running back in the first round. But there are exceptions. And Bijan Robinson is the exception. Now, I said this on, I think it was NFL Daily the other day. If he's going to be a top 10 pick, he better be a Hall of Famer. But if he's there in the second round and you pair him with Kenneth Walker, oh my Lanta, that would be incredible to put those two together. Watch out. I would be all in for that. You need a running back anyway. My idea has been with this Seahawks team that you probably need a day 3 selection at the running back spot to be your number 2 guy, but Bijan's one of those. He's just too good. You couldn't let him pass up. But I don't think he's going to be around the second round, though.
In the war rooms, too, you're thinking about your second-round pick. You know, a lot of teams, you don't want to specifically draft for your needs. You want to draft best player available if you can. Obviously, there's some instances you need a cornerback, you need a wide receiver. That's when you go ahead and draft those positions over best player available. But if there's a guy who is like so high up on your board and say you need a cornerback and he's right here, you're going to draft this guy because his potential, his everything to be great on your team. I mean, at that point, you have two amazing running backs for the next 4 or 5 seasons, have probably the best rushing attack in the NFL.
Right.
I don't know. That would be hard to pass up.
So
Tyler,
we got to sing the song.
Oh, yeah.
Chompin', Carol's chompin', Gino passes, no one stoppin', DK, touchdowns all day, he rules. How was that, folks? That song, at this point, if you don't know what that song is based off of, I don't know what to tell you. You got to, that song, it just brings great joy to me and makes me hungry every time I sing that. So I owe a shot. We got to 35 likes. We'll begin the show. I see Steve use the hashtag Seahawks. He's got the right idea. Use the hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat to get on the mailbag.
I've seen people asking questions without the hashtag Seahawks. I mean, be warned. You asked a question. You didn't use hashtag Seahawks, so I can't put you up on the screen.
Like, what the hell, man?
If you want to get your question up there, use hashtag Seahawks. Diego, I've seen you ask some questions.
Go, Diego, go.
Make sure you use hashtag Seahawks. We're going to get into our news and rumors segment first, and then we're going to get into our Q&A and keep it on rolling. As Elijah Nixon at the buzzer
sends in a $5 super chat. We're at $50 before the show is even started.
We'll go ahead and answer that really quick before.
Really quick, and we'll sing the song again, and then we'll get into start the show. If a top tackle drops to pick 20, should we pick them up like Broderick Jones or move someone inside? I say no. I like Abe Lucas and Charles Cross as your bookend tackles for the next several years. I think Abraham Lucas passed the smell test. He did enough that he should be your right tackle for a long time. Charles Cross, we already knew that when you used a top 10 pick on him last year. So, no, I wouldn't look at other options, address other needs or other players available. Chugs, I don't know about you, but I like Abe Lucas. I'm not looking to replace Abe Lucas right now.
Yeah, I think at this point, I don't think there's a ton of tackle talent in this draft. I think it's a little top heavy. I think there's like 2 or 3 guys who are at the top. I don't think they fall to 20. If they do, I think that's another opportunity where you could possibly trade back, get more picks.
All right, one more time to the DK song, and then we'll jump into the segment. 3, 2, 1. Chompin', carols chompin', Gino passes, no one stopping. DK, touchdowns all day. He rules. Seahawks Today Live officially starts right now. What up, Seahawk fans? Tyler Jones here with you. Appreciate you joining us. It is Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports. Coming up on today's show, we have the latest Seahawks news and rumors. We're going to discuss the possibility of drafting Anthony Richardson as the Seahawks are possibly looking at adding the quarterback from Florida, as CBS Sports has suggested, along with still keeping Geno Smith around. Also, should Seattle re-sign Rashaad Penny? What would that look like for them potentially to bring Penny back? We'll discuss all that and more in just a few moments. Let's start with the idea of drafting Anthony Richardson. According to CBS Sports, they say that Seattle is a good fit for the Florida Gators quarterback. Now, there's a lot of different ways you could look into that, but let's go ahead and get into the specifics according to Josh Edwards of CBS Sports. Seattle and veteran quarterback Geno Smith are working on a contract extension, but do not rule out the possibility of the team drafting a quarterback. With 2 picks in the first round, including number 5 overall, the Seahawks would be wise to prepare for life after the incumbent 32-year-old starter. Richardson is the most naturally talented quarterback in the draft, but he has little more than 1 year of starting experience. He's incredibly raw. The opportunity to sit behind and learn from Smith would be beneficial to Richardson. The Gainesville native averaged 8.6 carries per game this season. To maximize his skill set, a team would design opportunities for his massive frame in space against a smaller defensive back. Seattle ran play action on 15.9% of plays last season. You know, the kids these days, and parents, I'm sure you've probably heard this before, they would say, I'm calling cap. Well, I'm going to call cap here. No, there's not a world where you draft Anthony Richardson and you still pay Geno Smith. Look, to me, that just doesn't make sense. I'm not a fan of Anthony Richardson at all. And the idea that you would pay him all this money, Geno Smith, potentially, and still have Anthony Richardson there, that just doesn't add up for me. And here's the thing. When I look at Anthony Richardson, I understand he's number 4 on Mel Kiper's big board, 21 overall player and all that, but look at the numbers that you see on your screen right now. Less than 54% completion percentage. Less than 2,600 passing yards. I understand he is a hell of an athlete. 654 rushing yards, 9 rushing touchdowns, but he's incredibly raw, which is something you are going to hear a lot. More on that in just a second. But to me, there is a project with Anthony Richardson, and my worry, my fear, based on what we've seen, granted it was a small sample size, that's kind of just it with Anthony Richardson, that he's not going to get much better than what he already is. I'm not in a position where I'm Seattle trying to build a Super Bowl roster, like John Schneider says, to sacrifice a pick on a project like that. Here's Mel Kiper. Richardson is still very raw. His mechanics and footwork need a lot of work. He has accuracy issues on shorter throws that should be easier, and yet the arm strength and the dual threat ability are so intriguing that a team near the end of round one absolutely could take him and let him develop. We have gone through two different sources, ESPN and CBS Sports, and me too, and you've heard the word raw. Take a drink every time you hear the word raw when it comes to Anthony Richardson. I think I got some Fireball here. Maybe I could go ahead and just take the drink for you. But nonetheless, you are going to hear that a lot when describing Anthony Richardson. And I'll say this much. When it comes to the quarterback position in this draft, there are only two quarterbacks that matter to me, and that is Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud. If you are in a position to get one of those two, you take them, I think. But beyond that, if it's Will Levis, if it's Anthony Richardson, some of the others, no thanks. I'm out. I'm good. And here's why. Because look to next year. Caleb Williams, Drake May, Quinn Ewers, just to name a few. You are going to have an excellent quarterback class next year, even if Geno Smith isn't your long-term solution. What you can do now is pay Geno, build everything else, and look for that quarterback next year. You don't have to get that guy now. So, should Seattle draft Anthony Richardson? What do you think about that possibility? Are you in or are you out on the idea of drafting Anthony Richardson? If you want to draft him, type D for draft. If you don't, that's fine too. Type P for pass. Let me know in the comment section. Do you want Anthony Richardson or not? It's our pinned comment today. Type D for draft, P for pass. Now, let's move on. SI All Seahawks, Corbin Smith and the gang over there has suggested that Seattle could still potentially sign Rashad Penny for a cheap deal. Now, if you recall, it seemed like, even just within the last couple of weeks, that this was a done deal, that Rashad Penny was not going to wear a Seahawks uniform ever again. But there still is a possibility that could happen, that there's a circumstance where Rashad Penny is back in Seattle as the number 2 running back behind Kenneth Walker. We'll explain what that is and go into the contract situation, what it would take to make that happen in just one moment. Before we do, breaking news. Manscaped is now selling beard products. That's right. Our friends at Manscaped have gone from Balls Mafia to Beard Mafia in 2023 to keep you well-groomed from head to toe with their brand new Beard Hedger Pro Kit. In this package, it all starts with the Beard Hedger. This cordless trimmer has a rotary wheel with 20 hair cutting links, all with one guard. So no more messy drawers full of extra add-ons. Sculpt your beard to a championship level this season with Manscaped and tame your mane by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with code Seahawks. The Beard Hedger Pro Kit also comes with the dermatologist-tested formulations for your post-trim hygiene, beard shampoo and conditioner, beard oil, and beard balm. Look, I know I don't have a beard. I'm a clean-shaved guy. But if I did have a beard, you know I'd be using Manscaped for this. Get yours now. You'll be glad you did. Use that promo code Seahawks. Save 20% plus free shipping. Manscaped.com. Promo code Seahawks. So here is what it would take. A potential situation, according to SI Seahawks, that would make sense to bring Rashad Penny back. Just a one-year deal, only pay him $1.5 million with some incentives. Remember, he was brought back this past year on a one-year deal that was $5 million. So he'd be taking a pay cut, but you're not going to pay him that much. It's $1.5 million. Look, if that's the case, if we find ourselves in a situation where Rashad Penny is willing to play for $1.5 million, how do I say no to that? I'd sign him at that rate. In that circumstance, at $1.5 million, for a guy that's as talented, granted there's been the health issues, but you can't argue the talent level. The talent level's been there with Rashad Penny. $1.5 million, that's a bargain. I will take that for Rashad Penny at that price. But I'm not paying him even the contract that he got paid last year. I'm not paying him $5 million. 1.5, we can work with that. That's fine. If it doesn't work, that's okay. you got other options potentially. It's not the end of the world to give him a few extra bucks at $1.5 million. Now, I'll say this. Even if you bring Rashad Penny back at that price tag, this still shouldn't stop you from drafting a day 3 running back. The Seahawks have a lot of draft picks. They have several needs to take care of. But I'm telling you right now, Seattle needs to look in particular to day 3 and the draft capital they have in day 3 to getting a running back then. And even if you bring back Rashaad Penny and you pay him, let's say $1.5 million, don't let that hesitate you from still looking to day 3 running backs. I think the running back position, we talked about this in the office today actually, drafting a running back, even if it's late, a day 3 guy, is almost like what we've seen teams like the Patriots have done in the past, where they always draft a quarterback anyway. Even if they already have their franchise guy, it gives them another asset of some sorts. Even if I like Rashaad Penny, if I'm going to give him $1.5 million, I'm fine with still drafting. I would draft a running back day 3 as well. So, tell me this. Should the Seahawks re-sign Rashaad Penny? With the case that we just laid out for you, of not that much money, just $1.5 million, would you do it? If you would, type Y for yes. If not, type N for no. Let us know in the comment section, Y for yes, N for no, if you would re-sign Rashaad Penny. Here is what Corbin Smith had to say about the possibility of re-signing Rashaad Penny. Averaging 5.7 yards per carry for his career, he's been a major weapon when the Seahawks have had him in uniform and in a secondary role rotating with Walker, the 230-pound back. Could still be a dynamic change-of-pace runner, capable of hitting a home run anytime he touches the football. The numbers for Rashaad Penny. You can see yards per carry, solid, 6.1 this past year, 6.3 the year prior to that, but obviously missed most of 2020. 2019 was limited to 65 carries that year. The running back room, once you go beyond Kenneth Walker, it's really up for grabs. We could live in a world where the other backs beyond Kenneth Walker are all not back next year. So you know that you need guys. Rashaad Penny, if he's willing to play for $1.5 million, sure, he can be running back number 2 and then go draft somebody to be your RB3. Mel Kiper, his top running backs this draft. Bijan Robinson, expect him to be a first-round pick. He won't be in a position where the Seahawks could be able to bring him in. Then there's others like Dwayne McBride from UAB, Gibbs from Bama, and a couple other names potentially there for the Seahawks. There's some good backs in this draft. Let's just see if they find a way to bring one of them in or not. Name a running back the Seahawks should draft. Somebody that comes to mind. Think of a day 3 guy potentially. And if you want Bijan Robinson, that's fine, but I don't see a world that happens. But go ahead and tell me anyway. Who do you think the Seahawks should consider? Tell me in the comment section. You also tweet me at Tyler Jones Live, Facebook and Instagram as well, talking about your Seattle Seahawks on those social media platforms, and we will see you next time right here on Seahawks Today. Okay, that is one segment in the books. We'll do our mailbag here in just a moment, but today, folks, is Laugh and Get Rich Day. Jeremy and I would love to laugh and have a good time. I think we're 2 of the funniest people in the office, quite frankly.
Probably.
But we're not rich guys, though, in all honesty. We would love to be rich. Someday we will be, but we are not there yet. What would you do with $1 million?
We're not like Mitch.
No, we're not like Mitchell Renz. We're not to Mitch's level yet. One day. What would you do with $1 million, Jeremy?
Ooh, with $1 million, I would probably put a quarter of it away.
Smart.
Put it towards retirement. Make sure I'm good on that end. Then I would probably, with another quarter of it, give it to family and friends. So be like, hey, here you go. Don't ask me for any more money. This is yours. Maybe $100,000 to a couple different charities here and there. And then the other $400,000, I'd probably put half of it down and get a really, really nice house. And the other half, I'd probably use some of that to go on some vacations and then just use it to do whatever.
I like all those things you said there. Your 5-point plan for how you'd spend $1 million.
I've thought of it before. I've thought of this before. What would I do if I won the lottery?
So My big thing is I'm a big property guy. I love real estate, and I would invest in property. I would probably buy houses in multiple locations. Like Danny says he'd put down on a house. Well, you don't have to worry about putting down. You could buy a house straight up. That's what I would do with $1 million is I would make sure that I had property in multiple locations. That's what I'd be looking for, personally.
What would you do with $1 million? I'd buy the Seahawks.
Yeah, because I'm sure you could do that. Yeah, $1 million towards the Seahawks. The Allen family want to sell the Seahawks for $1 million?
One share.
Let's see. Mark says that Jeremy's plan would add up well over $1 million. I don't know about that.
I broke it down.
He broke it down in detail. I think he's fine. What would you guys do with $1 million? Let us know in the chat, and we'll respond. See what you guys have to say.
What would you do?
No, that's what I was saying. I would invest in property. I would buy houses in multiple locations.
Pay off the refs before the Niners.
That might not be enough money to pay off some officials. Oh! But Hall of Fame, Mark Sanchez. Jaime says I'd buy a house and make sure I can pay property taxes after that. Mark.
That's smart.
$50, 5 shots. Jeremy, you got to help me take some shots. And a question.
Let's have some fun.
Oh, this is a really good question.
5 shots and a question.
Describe a bologna.
If bologna was an entire animal and not mixed up meat, example, would it be a featherless bird that can fly?
I'm very confused by this question, Mark.
Describe a bologna if bologna was an entire animal. Okay. And not mixed up meat. Example, would it be a I don't think it would be a featherless bird, Mark. I think it would be a naked mole rat.
Yeah?
I would say it would be a naked mole rat. That would be if bologna somehow turned into an animal.
So if bologna turned into an animal,
what would that animal be? Not different animals. What would it be? I think it would be a naked mole rat, but just bigger. I don't know. That's what I have. Have you seen a picture of an actual naked mole rat before?
Yeah. This one, let's see. Oh, we got a good question in there. No disrespect, but why does Jeremy remind me of Post Malone? That's a first. I've never thought of you and Post Malone together.
I mean, I don't hate it. I don't really hate it, but.
Let's see. So describe bologna if bologna was an entire animal and not mixed up meat.
Shorty mixing up the vodka with the LaCroix. Yeah.
Example would be if a featherless bird that can't fly. Yeah. I mean, I think the naked mole rat's the best answer. Let's see. Is anyone out there got an answer for this that's better than this? Anybody in the chat? What's the chat have to say? You guys, this is a very, I got to say, this is a complicated question. I'm not going to lie, but let's take 5 shots. Jeremy, come and have some shots and holler in the bullpen, see if anybody wants to take a crack at this answer, because this is one of the deepest questions I've ever been asked. It's very complicated. Okay.
Tom said he's going to come in.
All right, Tom's going to give this a shot.
Tom's going to be in here in just a second. Y'all know Tom. He used to be the host.
Yes. Here we go. Cheers.
Oh, the shirt. I really didn't think this through.
Oh, yes. You're about to disappear.
Woo.
That's 2. We got 3 more to go.
Tom.
Mark says, like a turtle with no shell that's fast and eats meat. Okay.
Mark. A hairless cat from Raw.
A hairless cat? Cheers. I mean, people say humans are animals. I mean, you find a bald guy, humans could almost qualify.
Tom's refusing to be a team player. He said.
Rolly, we got a question from Mark Sanchez. Wait, Tex. Tex, come here.
Tom says he's a 49ers fan now. That can't come on.
Tex, come here. Mark Sanchez has a question. I know you're deep in thought. This seems right up your alley. Go ahead and throw this on screen again. Tex. So Mark Sanchez wants to know, and we got to take some more shots here in just a second. I'll take some shots. All right. Describe baloney if baloney was an entire animal and not mixed up meat. Example would be a featherless bird that can't fly.
So give a different example of that?
Yes, what would be baloney if it was an entire animal, not mixed up meat? A cat?
Yeah, because I don't like cats and I don't like bologna.
You don't like bologna? Boo! How do you not like bologna?
I like ham more, man.
But you can like both. Nobody said you couldn't like ham and bologna.
Yeah, I just like bologna. Wasn't really my thing. You big bologna guy?
Bologna's fine. Yeah, Raw Hector says a hairless cat. Mark says a four-legged hen.
Ew.
Thank you, Tex. All right, I owe one more shot. What a interesting question that was. My mind has been blown. We're now $50 away from Das Boot. Mark says, boo. I think that was the Tex saying he didn't like bologna. Who doesn't like bologna? Jeremy, you like bologna? Bologna's great. Spam is disgusting. Cheers to Mark. This is another shot. Let's get into it. We're $50 away from Das Boot, but we got some segments to take care of. So let's go ahead and get to our mailbag. Use hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat to get on the mailbag. There we go. Mark, we'll do your Boot Hall of Fame induction, I promise, after this segment. But we have to get this segment out of the way. We have to get this done. But Boot Hall of Fame, we'll take care of that next. Right now, though, it is time for mailbag. Use hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat to get on the mailbag. Steve just said, spam is so good. WTF. What did you just say, Tyler? Spam is nasty. I hate spam. Can't do spam. Mark, Boot Hall of Fame after this mailbag segment. Let's go ahead and get after it. Send in your questions. Hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat. Here we go. It is mailbag time here on Seahawks Today. Tyler Jones here with you. Today's show is presented by Manscaped. You can get 20% off plus free shipping when you use the promo code Seahawks, and you can go online to manscaped.com to get that deal. We'll tell you more about Manscaped coming up later on in the show. Let's go ahead and get to our mailbag questions. This one from the one and only Mark Sanchez. Shots and a question. What do you think about Cowherd's trade? First, second, fourth, next year's first, second, and Geno for Lamar Jackson. Sign and trade for the players. Well, Mark Sanchez, I got to tell you, Geno and the idea of him moving on, we've seen some different trade possibilities out there. Colin Cowherd, I think, has mentioned in the past Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love, and now I guess he's pointing to Lamar Jackson potentially as the next Seahawks quarterback. And here's the deal. When I look at this situation here, I think that you go back to last year, and the Seahawks, all the draft capital they got from Russell Wilson and didn't have to pay Russell Wilson. Do you then want to turn around and pay Lamar Jackson and give up a bunch of draft capital for Lamar Jackson too? To me, it's just too much. Not to mention, Lamar Jackson's had back-to-back seasons where he's missed 5 games. So your health doesn't get better when you get older. That's just pure science. So, Mark, I see where you're going at, but I think that's ultimately too much. I would pass on the idea of trading for Lamar Jackson. I personally like the idea of re-signing Geno, and whether it's this year or next year, then drafting that young quarterback to be the next man up and eventually replace Geno when that's said and done. Subscribe to the channel. We have our award-winning mailbags part of our live shows every week. We do about 2 of them each week, so you can subscribe for free. Doesn't cost you a thing. Be a part of our live shows with us on Wednesdays, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Subscribe at youtube.com/SeahawksTV. Turn on notifications so you never miss a moment. Be part of our mailbag segments. Mark, again, would you trade Darrell Taylor and Trey Brown for more draft capital? As I said before, this draft, it is saturated with defensive talent. In theory, that sounds like a good idea. But when you put it to reality here, I don't know what you're necessarily going to get for Darrell Taylor and Trey Brown. I don't think it would be a whole lot on the trade market. So, Mark, I see where you're going at with that. It sounds like a good idea in principle, but I just don't think that there's much value in either one of those guys of getting draft capital back. I think you're better off just keeping them around and seeing if they develop and what comes out of it. Alex writes, what should Seattle do with Tyler Lockett? Well, there's two options. You can either extend him or you can trade him. It's one of those two things. Tyler Lockett is a Seattle Seahawk through and through. He represents this franchise so well. He wants to be here. No question about that. And if you trade him, I mean, you could get something for him for sure. But I think that Tyler Lockett would be willing to work for you to make the money work where he could stick around and potentially finish his career with the Seattle Seahawks. So I would extend him. If you extend him, then you can help yourself out in the salary cap right now. You could cut some salary and push that to later and be able to do more things potentially this year. So for me, I would keep Tyler Lockett around. I would extend him, like to see him stay in a Seahawks uniform. What would you do? In the words of John Quinones, what would you do? Would you extend or trade Tyler Lockett? It's a decision the Seahawks are going to have to make one way or the other. Type E for extend, type T for trade. Let me know in the comment section which way you'd want to go. E for extend, T for trade. Steve writes, good afternoon, 12s. Good afternoon to you, Steve. We should not re-sign Penny and use that capital elsewhere. What linebackers would you like to see Seattle pick up in free agency or draft? Who do you got this weekend in the Super Bowl? As far as Rashad Penny goes, I understand where you're coming from, but there's been reports out there, and we talked about this earlier this week, that Rashaad Penny, you might not have to pay him much. You might get away with just only had to pay him $2 million. If that's the case, if you only have to pay him less than $2 million, then I'm all in on the idea of re-signing Rashaad Penny. Beyond that, I'm out. Linebackers in free agency, it's a very interesting year when it comes to free agency in the NFL. And we know the Seahawks are in a position where Jordan Brooks, of course, is likely to miss most of this upcoming season, but you still have some good veterans like Levante David, TJ Edwards. We've talked about Tremaine Edmonds at times here on this program. There's going to be some guys out there. We'll see ultimately how that works out, but, I personally look at this when it comes to the linebacker spots. Do you want to pay a guy, but then bring back Jordan Brooks too eventually when he's healthy? That's a tough predicament the Seahawks have to figure out. It doesn't do them any favors with where Brooks' status is at right now, but nonetheless, we'll see how it plays out. But I'm open to the idea. I probably would rather draft and look at some draft options, but the Seahawks have to do their due diligence and at least examine what's available potentially on that free agent market, the linebacker spots. Breaking news, Manscaped is now selling beard products. That's right. Our friends at Manscaped have gone from Balls Mafia to Beard Mafia in 2023 to keep you well-groomed from head to toe with their brand-new Beard Hedger Pro kit. In this package, it all starts with the Beard Hedger. This cordless trimmer has a rotary wheel with 20 haircutting links, all with one guard, so no more messy drawers full of extra add-ons. Sculpt your beard to a championship level this season with Manscaped and tame your mane by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with code Seahawks. The Beard Hedger Pro Kit also comes with 4 dermatologist-tested formulations for your post-trim hygiene, beard shampoo and conditioner, beard oil, and beard balm. So get 20% off and free shipping with our code Seahawks at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use our code Seahawks. Avoid the blitz and take your beard to the promised land this year with the brand new Manscaped Beard Hedger Pro Kit. Get yours today. I don't have a beard. I'm a clean-shaved guy, but if I had a beard, I'd certainly be using this. Jeremy Chuggs, he's a beard guy. He uses this. He loves it. So, if anything, support Jeremy and check our guys out at manscaped.com. Get 20% off plus free shipping code Seahawks at checkout. The great Mark Sanchez checks in once again. If Bijan Robinson drops out of the first round and lands at our first second-round pick, should the Seahawks pick him? So I am of the belief, folks, that you don't draft a running back in the first round. But there are some exceptions, and Bijan is that type of exception. I think Bijan Robinson, the sky's the limit. He could potentially be a Hall of Fame talent. That's how good Bijan Robinson is. He checks all the boxes potentially. With that said, I know the Seahawks, the running back position is a need behind Kenneth Walker, but it's not necessarily priority number 1, 2, or 3. But Bijan is so good if he's around for that first second round pick, which I'd be surprised if he was, but if he is, he's too good to say no. Yeah, I would take Bijan if he's around at that point. We'll see. I doubt that happens, but if he is, yeah, too good to pass up as far as I'm concerned. Elijah says, if a top tackle drops to pick 20, should we pick them up like a Broderick Jones or move someone inside? So here's where the Seahawks are at. You got Charles Cross at left tackle, who you spent a top 10 pick on. And then at the right tackle spot, you got Abraham Lucas, who you spent a third-round pick on. I like both guys. Your booking tackles, I think you can roll with for a long time, that they can be leading both sides, and they're developing together. Cross was better, but Lucas wasn't bad. And my guy Brian Baldinger, and you're not doing yourself a favor if you're not watching Baldy's breakdowns on Twitter. I encourage you to go look at Baldy's breakdowns because he was talking about Charles Cross and Abraham Lucas a lot this year. And Baldy loved both those guys, what they brought to the table, what they did, and how far they came along. So, no, I'm not about drafting a tackle. You have other needs to take care of. Broderick Jones is a good football player, but not what the Seahawks need right now. Tepper says, Tariq Woolen was great this year. Will Coby Bryant end up being as good? So Tariq Woolen was outstanding. He was one of the best cornerbacks in football. Was a Pro Bowler, tied for the league lead in interceptions. He was great. Coby Bryant was picked ahead of him. Remember, he was a fourth-round selection. Tariq Woolen was a fifth-round selection. But there was so much attention, so much talk about Tariq Woolen that Coby Bryant kind of got forgotten about. With that said, I don't think necessarily Coby Bryant's going to be as good as Tariq Woolen, but I think you could have two lockdown corners both together potentially here. I like what these two bring to the table. They should be your two starting corners for the foreseeable future to see them pair up and do their thing together. Coby Bryant, I know it wasn't a Tariq Woolen Pro Bowl year, but it was still a very good rookie year for him. I think both of them are going to be good for a long time. You're set with these two as far as I'm concerned. Won't be as good as Tariq Woolen, but he'll be a very good football player. Tyson writes, do you think Noah Fant could get to top 5 tight end? I'll say this. I've been a Noah Fant fan. I liked him when he was in Denver. He's been on my fantasy teams, I think, a couple different times. But with where Noah Fant's at, I think he's kind of apexed. He's kind of reached his ceiling of some sorts. I don't think Noah Fant is really going to get much better than he already is. And he's a good player. He's fine as is. But I think that's kind of just it at this point. And for the Seahawks, that's okay. You have very good tight ends. Will Dissly, Colby Parkinson and company. That trio was solid this year. But I think that's about it. I don't think Noah Fant's going to be a top 5 tight end. I think he's in the upper half, but that's kind of just it for Noah Fant, quite frankly. Not anything against him. I think that's just the reality of it. Seahawk UK writes, who is your favorite linebacker in this year's draft? That's an easy answer for me. It's Will Anderson. I've told you about Will Anderson, the outside linebacker from Alabama, for months on end, how excited I am. Now, if you're talking about inside linebacker, Drew Sanders from Arkansas would be that answer. So I gave you 2 answers here. If we're going outside, Will Anderson's my guy. Inside, it's Drew Sanders. Jack Campbell, another guy. The Seahawks have a need at the linebacker spot. I would love to see Will Anderson be that guy. Don't think he's still going to be there at 5, but we'll see. Drew Sanders, meanwhile, could be a potential nice pickup as well. What is the Seahawks' biggest priority this offseason? What do they need to do to better this roster to get to where they want to go? Tell us in the comments section Tell me what you think the biggest priority for Seattle is in 2023. Aaron says, would you trade a 7th for Zeke? No. I think Zeke is cooked. I think Zeke has played his last down for the Dallas Cowboys. The snap he took as a center when he just got trucked, I think that's his final play as a Cowboy. I think that's it. Zeke is done. Zeke has nothing left in the tank. He's had a good run with the Dallas Cowboys and been a very good player, but that's about it for Zeke at this point. I don't think he's going to get any better and that his best days are behind him. I'm not interested in bringing Zeke. I don't like older running backs. I think Zeke is cooked. Next question, hashtag Seahawks. Tyler, I'm not even a Seahawk fan, but do you think they will even draft a quarterback this year? Also, can you just scream touchdown Seahawks? Let's address the first, and then we'll get to the latter. Will they draft a quarterback this year? Maybe, maybe not. They don't have to if they take care of Geno. And as I've said before, and I'll say again, the quarterbacks are so good next year with Caleb Williams and Drake May and Quinn Ewers and others, you don't have to. I like Bryce Young. I like C.J. Stroud. If they're available in the top 5, I'd take them. Otherwise, I don't need any other quarterbacks in this year's draft. So maybe, maybe not. Maybe they like a late-round guy like a Hendon Hooker in day 3 or something like that, potentially. But we'll see. As far as will I scream touchdown Seahawks, you know what? Since you asked nicely, I'll do that for you. Even though it's the offseason, it's been a few weeks since they scored, but touchdown Seahawks! There you go. That pay off for you? How was that? Grade my touchdown call in the comments section. You can follow me on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Tyler Jones Live, talking about your Seahawks there. And I will see you next time here on Seahawks Today. All right, Mark with a $50 super chat. Bang! That means it's Boot Hall of Fame time. It's also boot time. So we'll have to get this thing ready. I will try to drink this thing as quickly as possible. 3 beers in one. You are in for a show. John, my guy, John Westover, Australia's finest, says, bologna looks like what comes out of the big bottom. What do you mean by that? Oh, man. That's funny. John, I like that. Thank you for that. Boot coming up in just a moment. Also, we'll induct Mark Sanchez. When so Jeremy's getting the boot ready. When he comes back, we'll officially induct Mark into the Boot Hall of Fame again. $100, and any of you can get a spot in the Boot Hall of Fame. That's how it works here on Seahawks Today. I would love to do some more Hall of Fame inductions. This is our new boot, and this is the 3rd inductee of the new boot. Seeps, good to see you, buddy.
Tyler, how you doing?
I'm great. I'm about to do another boot.
You are. Okay.
Mark Sanchez is going to the Boot Hall of Fame.
I was just going to say, Mark, but he's not already in the Boot Hall?
He's going on again, and we got a new boot.
New boot? Okay, all right. Shout out to Mark. I just wanted to come in here and say hi to Mark.
How did Vikings go?
It went good. Yeah, good show. Yeah, but shout out to you, Mark. You're a legend. Again, thank you so much for the Randy Moss jersey. It's actually hanging in my apartment.
You want to do a shot for Mark? Oh.
I'll do a shot for Mark.
Okay, shot for Mark. Here's he's going straight from the bottle. Look at that, for Mark Sanchez. Everybody spam Mark in the chat. Let's go. There's a shot. Thank you, Seeps. Always. I always take care of my guy, Mark Sanchez. Wayne says, Seeps, without his Vikings gear. Is it laundry day?
It is a laundry day, actually.
So that's why you're not saying that. All right. Mark, welcome back to the Boot Hall of Fame. We have a new boot. Mark already owns the other one at his house. But you know what? Oh, Coop. Jeffrey Cooperstein. Good to see you here. We're about to induct Mark in the Boot Hall of Fame again with a new boot.
Mark, let's go.
Let's go. They can never take it away from him. Never. You want to take a shot for Mark?
Sure.
Okay. You can take it from the glass or straight from the bottle, whatever you're feeling. But Mark Sanchez is going to the Boot Hall of Fame again. This is the highest honor. I mean, you know, you don't see presidents on the Boot Hall of Fame.
Mark, appreciate you.
You only see people like Mark Sanchez, one of a kind, truly one of a kind. This is as good as it gets. They won't take it away from you.
I hate Fireball.
You are here forever, till eternity. Mark Sanchez, welcome to the Boot Hall of Fame once again. Time for a boot. Jeremy Chuggs, we got another segment here in just a moment. let's go ahead and take down Dust Boot first. What's our time going to be today? I'm thinking over under 20 seconds. O for over, U for under. What do you guys think? What is the time going to be on a Dust Boot? O for over, U for under. Let me know in the comment section how you think Dust Boot is going to go this time around here. It's been a couple weeks since I've done Dust Boot, but I am warmed up and ready to go to take this down and get after it today. Wayne says, Mark, as always, and will be Chat Sports GOAT. Well done, Mark. That is absolutely true. All right, boot time? All right, over under 20 seconds. Jeremy, what do you think?
I think under.
Okay, here we go. Let's get
it.
after it. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
And here he goes, having the time of his life. Oh, he's so close. He's so close.
Oh,
Time.
all right, here we go.
Woo!
What's the time?
Tyler Jones
Here we go. The moment of truth.
takes down 3 beers in 1 boot.
And time is.
The time is 19 seconds.
Under 20.
19.88.
19.88. Good enough. We did it. We did it. How about that? Let's go. All right. Time for another segment. I lost my ear. You still hear me?
Nope. I think you might have unplugged. Or
I think I unplugged. We got so excited we unplugged. So I
Yeah.
can replug here. How about that? That's a moment right there.
there we
There
go.
we go. When the mic doesn't even work,
Woo!
that's when you know you had a good boot. That's the test right there. Oh, my gosh. We did it, folks. Let's do another segment. Let's talk team needs, and then we still have one more mailbag to get to, too. All right. Let me get my timer out. I'm ready to go. Here we go. It is Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Appreciate you joining us. On today's show, we are talking team needs. What do the Seahawks need to address in the 2023 offseason? We will get to that and show you some options for what the Seahawks should do in just one moment. Before we do, folks, you need to join the family. We are getting so close to 35,000 subscribers here on the channel, but we need your help to get there. What are you waiting for? We're at a nice number, 369 subscribers away, but we need your help. Subscribe now for the latest happenings on your favorite team, news and rumors, trades, free agency, draft, and more. It's all in one place. Subscribe for free, youtube.com/SeahawksTV. So we've heard from John Schneider, the Seahawks GM, say that he wants to build a Super Bowl caliber roster for this Seahawks team in Seattle for next season. That they want to compete right away next year. But they have a ways to go to necessarily get to being a championship caliber team. So what do they need to address? Well, first and foremost for me, it's the defensive tackle spot. And if you look at the defensive tackles this past season, the number one issue that happened with this Seahawks team at the defensive line was they just got, eaten for lunch when it came to the running game. If you wanted to beat the Seahawks, just run the football well, and you beat Seattle pretty much this past season. About everybody that ran the football well did well. Now, here's the top options. We're going to include everything from draft to trades and free agency. Javon Hargrave, you're going to see him in the Super Bowl on Sunday. He is a beast. I expect Philadelphia to more than likely keep him, but if he does end up going to free agency, you'd love to have him on your team. I can tell you that much. Daron Payne, he's another name that's going to be highly sought after. He had a career year this year, and I don't think he's played his best football yet. So with that, that's where we go to number 3, and that's Jalen Carter. We put Jalen Carter on this list, but with that said, you're at the number 5 pick. More than likely, he's not going to still be around when you pick at 5. But you could potentially trade up for him, or if he does happen to slip, maybe he's still around. But Jalen Carter, if he's available, you'd love to have him too. Brian Bresee, we've seen projections of Seattle getting him as high as 5, or maybe even still being available at 20. He's one of the big wild cards of this draft, but nonetheless a very good football player out of Clemson, and then there's Ika, the defensive tackle out of Baylor. All 5 of these guys would help this Seahawks team and would take care of a position of heavy need for Seattle. So we got more positions to break down, more players to bring you here in a second. But first, name a defensive tackle the Seahawks should add, whether it's through free agency, trades, or the draft, whatever it may be. What comes to mind? Who would you like to see in a Seahawks uniform next year playing the D-tackle spot? Let us know in the comments section below. Next up is the edge rusher / outside linebacker spot for the Seahawks. We saw this team bring in Uchenna and Nwosu last year, and things paid off bigly for this team at that outside linebacker spot. But they still need more. Remember, they had to call upon some guys. They were short-handed at times this year. You know, Bruce came out of nowhere, ended up playing for this team. Will Anderson, kind of like what we talked about with Jalen Carter. If he's around, you'd love to have him, but unlikely to still be there at 5, but I think he's the best player in this draft. Marcus Davenport, the edge rusher of the New Orleans Saints. Had a bit of a down year this past year, but still very young. Still potentially has some big football left in his future. Andre Carter II, the outside linebacker from Army. We've been talking about him for months. This is somebody that you know is well-disciplined, that is a good citizen, but a hell of a football player that has a bright future in this league. Extremely athletic. I like Andre Carter II a lot. Lucas Van Ness might be a little bit undersized, and you might be able to get him in the second round. We've seen some projections there that he could be a guy potentially for Seattle at that spot. He would be a nice find. Could be a bit of a project, though, with that undersizedness. We'll see how long it takes for him to develop. And then if you're looking for a veteran, Melvin Ingram. He has been a guy that's been good everywhere. Pittsburgh, Kansas City, Miami. He'll be a free agent this year. Melvin Ingram, I think what you like about him is he has adapted to every situation he's been a part of, and he could adapt to this Seattle team. So the top 2 guys, which would you rather have? Would you rather go with the standout rookie potentially in Will Anderson, or would you rather go with a veteran like Marcus Davenport that you know is ready to step up day one? If you could pick, if all things are equal, are you going with Will Anderson or are you going with Marcus Davenport? Who would you rather have on your team? Let me know in the comments section. Type WA for Will Anderson. Type ND for Marcus Davenport. Which way would you lean towards, Will Anderson or Marcus Davenport? Let me know in the comments section below. Today's show is presented by BetUS, the exclusive sportsbook partner of Chat Sports. If you go to chatsports.com/bet, enter the promo code Seahawks125, you will get a 125% deposit bonus. Put $100 down, you get $125 to spend for free. It's a great deal. You can bet on the Super Bowl. It's basically a pick'em at this point between Philly and Kansas City. Philly, a slight favorite, a 1-point favorite. Over-under at 51. I like Philly to cover, the over to hit. You can also bet on some props. National anthem. My guy, Chris Stapleton. Me and Jeremy Chuggs, we love listening to Chris Stapleton. He's doing the national anthem. Will be over or under 125 seconds. The national anthem in recent history has been under on the over-under. So I lean towards the under personally. Rihanna, wardrobe malfunction. Some of you may be rooting for that to happen. Plus 650 is that number. No is plus a 1,200. Get your bets in. Chatsports.com/bet, promo code Seahawks125. Next up is the interior of the offensive line. Look, you are set with your tackles. With Charles Cross and Abraham Lucas, those guys can lead the way for a very long time. But when it comes to the interior with the guard spots in the center position, there's some big question marks for Seattle. A guy that I like, that our buddy Mark Sanchez likes as well, is Osiris Torrance, the offensive guard from Florida. He played under Billy Napier at Louisiana. Then Napier takes the Florida job. He follows Napier to Florida, and he was not afraid of the SEC at all. He was an all-SEC performer, one of the best guards in the country, a pure road grader. Osiris Torrance, he's ready to take that next step and play the National Football League. Ben Powers had a breakout year with the Baltimore Ravens. I think the Ravens are likely to keep him, but if he comes to the open market, watch out. He could be a nice find. John Michael Schmitz, the center for Minnesota. He was, I believe, a 5-year starter there with Minnesota. Very good football player. Staying in the Big Ten, you got Ula as well. another good option potentially. And then another college guy, if for our folks in the Northwest, I'm sure we got some Oregon State fans watching that are very well aware of Joshua Gray, who is just a mauler up front. He could be a nice find for you at the offensive guard spot. You have options. You have needs. You need center and you need offensive guard, and there's multiple ways to get there. Free agency and draft, couple good options both ways. What is the Seahawks' biggest need this offseason? Of what we've talked about or what we even haven't talked about? Here's your chance to weigh in. Tell me in the comment section what you think the biggest need for Seattle is. Number 4 on our list is the safety position. You already know you have Quandre Diggs, but you don't know about Jamal Adams, if he's going to be able to be ready in time for the season begins. And then there's the possibility, what's been talked about a lot among Seahawk fans, of moving Jamal Adams to the linebacker position potentially. With that, your best option, I think, is internally. Ryan Neal is going to be a free agent, but the folks at Pro Football Focus this past season graded Ryan Neal as the top safety in the entire NFL with an 85.6 overall grade, run defense grade of 79.5, pass rush grade 52.9, but the coverage grade was outstanding, 85.7. Why wouldn't you bring Ryan Neal back, even if it is just to back up Jamal Adams there? Brian Branch at the safety spot from Alabama. This is somebody that can play safety, that can play corner both. He's going to get a lot of love, a lot of attention. Expect him to jump up on some draft boards. Antonio Johnson from Texas A&M is also another possibility as well. Terrell Edmonds of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He is going to be a free agent, and we're waiting to see if he's reached his ceiling or not yet. That's still to be determined. And then LaMarcus Joyner. Now, there have been some bad moments with LaMarcus Joyner there with the New York Jets, but you know he's a talented player. So with that said, Ryan Neal, that's my favorite option personally, but obviously there's some other guys. Who should the Seahawks, what should they do with Ryan Neal? Sign him or pass? What say you? Let me know in the comment section. Type S for sign, type P for pass. Let us know in the comment section below. Lastly is the cornerback position, and I know what you're thinking. Tariq Woolen was outstanding as a rookie, and then Coby Bryant had a very solid rookie year as well. What are you talking about needing corner? Well, Mike Jackson is not your long-term guy, and Coby Bryant still has a little bit something to prove, but I think he will. With that said, I don't think it would hurt you to consider the cornerback spot and adding some depth. Joey Porter Jr. is the top cornerback in this upcoming draft. The son of Joey Porter, the former Pittsburgh Steeler who had an outstanding career. Joey Porter Jr. is a guy that is a lockdown corner. Doesn't get too many interceptions, but he's not going to give up a whole lot of big plays either. Christian Gonzalez, he's somebody that fans here in the Northwest are going to be very familiar with, was outstanding with the Oregon Ducks over the past several seasons. And then we turn our attention to James Bradbury. Remember, last offseason, his free agency was a big point of discussion for several weeks on end. He'll be a free agent again. He'll be in the Super Bowl for the Eagles coming up this weekend, and he's had a nice bounce back year in Philadelphia. I believe his total is about 4 interceptions this year. He's been a nice impact player. Marcus Peters is a free agent as well from the Baltimore Ravens. Don't think the Ravens are going to bring him back. He is an older corner, but with him having his connections playing at Washington, maybe he could come in, end his career with the Seattle Seahawks. And we've seen, dating back to the very beginning of his career when he was in Kansas City, this is a guy that, sure, he gives up the big play, but he'll get plenty of interceptions too. And then number 5 is Kelee Ringo. Now, I've seen some draft boards that have Ringo slipping all the way to the second round. So you might not even have to use one of your first 2 picks in the first round at 5 or 20 to get Kelee Ringo. Ringo, part of 2 national championships at Georgia, talented player. I'd be very intrigued to see where Ringo ultimately ends up. Who would you sign in free agency? We talked about several players when it comes to free agency. We also talked draft here today as well. Who comes to mind? Let me know in the comment section below who you'd like to see the Seahawks sign. You can interact with me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, at Tyler Jones Live, talking about your Seahawks there. I'll see you next time here on Seahawks Today. All right, that's another segment in the books. We got one more to go. One more mailbag here. use the hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat to get on the mailbag. Jeremy, what did you think of those team needs for Seattle? What would you address?
I mean, the only thing I think you didn't, which it might be a team need, is quarterback.
Yeah.
Depending on Geno.
I just implied that you would keep Geno Smith.
Yeah. Besides that, I mean, I think you hit all the needs. I mean, obviously, biggest needs seem to be on the defensive side. You have weapons on offense. You have two good wide receivers, a good running back, a good young running back. I mean, those aren't exactly needs. You have a good tight end in Noah Fant. But I think you hit it on the head. You know, you want to – the way the Seahawks won their first Super Bowl was with defense. You want to have a really good defense. And that's kind of what you want to do address.
Right.
And I'm going to address the fact that we need more questions. Use hashtag Seahawks to get on the show. We're about to do a mailbag here in just a second. Use hashtag Seahawks, get on the show. We need a couple more questions before we start, Tyler.
We do. Let's show that Super Chat menu. By the way, Trey says Cano Reeves looking strong. I don't look like Cano Reeves. Is he saying that Jeremy Chuggs? Have you gotten that comparison before, you and Cano Reeves? Are you Cano Reeves? Or Keanu? Sorry. Have you got it compared to Keanu Reeves before? There's no way that's me. You got the beard going. Who am I thinking of? Keanu Reeves was in The Replacements, right? Wasn't he Shane Falco? Yeah. That can't be me. Hold on, I got to see an updated picture of Keanu Reeves. By the way, The Replacements, that's like a top 5 sports movie ever. What do you think of, you've seen The Replacements, right?
A long time ago.
Okay, let me look up a updated picture of Keanu Reeves. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at, he's got the facial hair scruff going. It's the Jeremy Chuggs like half beard, not full, but almost there. I'm thinking they're referring to you, that you're Keanu Reeves, not me. I'm not so lucky to look like Keanu Reeves like Jeremy Chuggs is. All right, mailbag time. Hashtag Seahawks or a Super Chat to get on the mailbag show. Let's go ahead and get after it, shall we? Get your questions in. Hashtag Seahawks or a Super Chat. Let me get my script here. All right, I'm good to go. It is mailbag time here on Seahawks Today. Use the hashtag Seahawks or Super Chat if you want to be a part of our live mailbag show. We do these each and every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, where you guys submit questions to us using that hashtag or Super Chatting, and we have a great time doing it. And you may be wondering, why should I subscribe? Well, you can be a part of these live shows. Turn on those notifications. Anytime we have an update here on the channel, we're going to tell you about it. Go to your settings app, scroll down, tap YouTube, tap notifications, turn on allow notifications so you never miss a moment of the happenings with your favorite team. It's covered right here on Seahawks Today. Greg's writes, is there any world where the Seahawks could trade for Aaron Rodgers? I believe it was several months ago. We were talking on this channel. Colin Cowherd was saying that it was his greatest take ever, the idea of the Seahawks trading for none other than Aaron Rodgers. And I got to tell you, Aaron Rodgers, I like Aaron Rodgers still. I think he's still got some good football left. I mean, what was it? He's won 2 of the last 3 MVPs and, 3 or 4 in his career now. Aaron Rodgers is still a great quarterback in this league. With that said, whoever gets Aaron Rodgers is going to have to give up a lot for a quarterback that's already talking about retirement. He's used the R word, retirement, recently. So, no, I mean, I'm not interested in trading for Aaron Rodgers because that's a short-term solution. If you're the Seahawks, you have a young team. You're thinking about long-term things. Aaron Rodgers is not what you're looking for the for a long-term solution. He's a short-term fix. He's a Band-Aid. He's a great player. He's one of the most talented quarterbacks I've ever seen, but the idea of trading for Aaron Rodgers, giving up so much, and only having a temporary fix, I'm out on that. Nothing against Aaron, but just doesn't make sense for where Seattle is at. right now. What do you think? Make a trade for Aaron Rodgers. Tell me in the comments section. You might get an ad break. If so, take advantage of it. Get your votes in. HY for hell yeah on trading for Aaron. HN for hell no on trading for and not trading for Aaron Rodgers. Let me know in the comments section which way you're thinking. Matt writes with a $10 super chat. Do you like Joey Porter Jr. for the Seahawks at 20th? Take a shot, too. I'll pay that off on our live show, I promise. But as far as a Joey Porter Jr. goes, yeah, I like Joey Porter Jr. a lot. The Seahawks have other needs to address, but I would be very tempted to take Joey Porter Jr. at 20 if he's still around. He's the best corner in this draft. He is a shutdown corner. He's kind of the opposite of Tariq Woolen. Tariq Woolen is a ball hawk corner that creates turnovers. Joey Porter Jr., he's not going to get you a whole lot of turnovers, but he's not going to give up a whole lot of big plays. That could be a nice combination between the two potentially. I like Joey Porter Jr., Matt. That's a good take there. Geno for Hall of Fame. Wow. What's the most we can pay Geno and still win a Super Bowl? So it's very interesting because we have seen, when you looked across the National Football League of the recent Super Bowl champions, for the most part, they haven't been the teams that have been paying a lot of money to their quarterbacks. We've seen teams win Super Bowls with quarterbacks on rookie deals for the most part. With that said, as far as winning a Super Bowl goes, I think with Geno Smith, remember there is only so far you can get with his talent. As I think it comes down to a comfortability level. I don't think I feel comfortable paying Geno Smith any more than $35 million and still be feeling good about what I do with the rest of the roster and the potential for the rest of the roster. Once it gets into the 40, the 45 million range, then things get dicey and you have to make changes. 35, I think, is where you still feel comfortable, where you could potentially compete and get what you want with the other positions. Cool Cat writes, who wins the Super Bowl? Who are you rooting for? I think the Eagles win the Super Bowl. I think it's going to be a very good game between Kansas City and Philadelphia. I think the Eagles win 34-31 is my official Super Bowl prediction. The over hits. I am rooting for Kansas City, though. How can you not like Patrick Mahomes? He's the most talented quarterback I've ever seen. Travis Kelce is just incredible. That fan base in Kansas City is unbelievable. I mean, they deserve this. And I'll be rooting hard for Kansas City. I don't want to see the Eagles win. I'm going with Kansas City. Who you got? Get your bets in. Tell me in the comments section. KC for the Chiefs. PHI for Philadelphia. Get your bets in. Chatsports.com/bet. Promo code Seahawks125 for a 125% deposit bonus. Put $100 down. You get $125 to spend for free. It's a great deal. Chatsports.com/bet. Promo code Seahawks125. You can even bet on what color the Gatorade bath is going to be. Blue, yellow, green, orange, red, pink, or clear. Blue's the favorite, plus 125. Yellow, green, plus 200. Orange, plus 250. Red, pink, plus 500. Clear at plus 700. When the Seahawks won the Super Bowl, the color was orange. Something to think about. And people get this idea of what's probably going to be the team color. Well, you can see right there, the Seahawks don't wear any orange. So that might be the value bet here, is putting your money on the orange Gatorade for the bath, as neither team, neither the Chiefs or the Eagles wear orange. So that would be the bet I place. Look for the orange there, as Pete Carroll got on that Gatorade bath years ago. What's the shot of us getting Buckner, DeForest Buckner, who I believe is going to be a free agent this offseason? We'll see. I think he's going to be heavily desired. There's going to be a lot of teams interested in Buckner this offseason. The Seahawks do have limitations when it comes to cap space of how much they can spend, but you'd love to have him. He's a terrific football player. We'll see. Good says, could we add Keenan Allen? I mean, you could, but I'll say this. Keenan Allen is a little bit older now, and he's missed a lot of football games. I mean, you could add Keenan Allen, but I don't necessarily want to because he's an aging receiver that you can't necessarily depend on at this point. I mean, you could, but I don't necessarily think you would want to add Keenan Allen right now. Matt with a $5 super chat writes in, I'm pulling for KC. I don't like the Eagles, so let's go Chiefs. I agree. Let's go Chiefs. Let's see a Chiefs win. Let's see them get it done. Matt, I'm there with you. We'll see how things work out, but should be a very entertaining game. I think the Eagles are the more talented team, but the Chiefs have the better quarterback and the better tight end. Something's got to give. Should be a lot of fun. John writes in, should we sign a vet swing tackle to help develop Cross and Lucas? And if yes, who? No, I don't think it's up to – think about this, John, okay? You're not signing backups to develop starters. That's not how that works because Cross and Lucas are going to start, okay? I mean, you should sign guys to fill up your spots or – draft guys to fill up your roster. But the idea in mind, I'm going to intentionally sign this guy to be a backup for this guy to develop him. That just doesn't add up. It doesn't quite work like that. So I see what you mean, but I just don't think in today's NFL that type of thing necessarily works. I don't think that happens there. Still flying. Will Drew Lock be back next year? We've heard that John Schneider and Pete Carroll would like Drew Lock to come back this upcoming season, but will they? I don't know necessarily. Drew Lock hasn't taken the steps that he needs in development. He's still a ways off where he should be at this point in time. There might be other teams willing to take a chance on him potentially, but we'll see. It's up in the air at this point. Would you re-sign Drew Lock? You're not going to pay Drew Lock a whole lot of money. He's not your future at the quarterback position. We already know that. Would you re-sign Drew Lock? If you would, type S for sign. If not, type P for pass. Let us know in the comments section. Big Boy says, should Seahawks sign Washington legend Danny Shelton? Maybe. You could potentially. I'm not sure what Danny Shelton's asking price would be, but that could be a name to keep in mind potentially for Seattle at some point, but we'll see where that goes. Steve says, we were a top 10 offense in the league this year. I think wasting money or picks on offense and ignoring our glaring holes is a mistake. Steve, I see what you mean, but remember, the NFL draft is not just about the present. It's also about building for the future. And some of the pieces that you saw this year with this offense aren't necessarily going to be there down the road. And you have to think about the draft. It's like playing chess, okay? You are getting your pieces ready for the next 3 steps. It's not checkers where it's one move at a time. So, Steve, while I understand that, you win in the National Football League with your offense. That's how this works. Good offense beats good defense, okay? And so defense is a priority, but there's certain offensive guys you can't pass up on, and you still have to build up this offense. So, Steve, go in with an open mind, please. Subscribe to the channel. We're covering the Seahawks every single day with the latest happenings on your favorite team. Doesn't cost you a thing. Subscribe for free. Turn on notifications so you never miss a moment. YouTube.com/Seahawks TV. Turn on notifications, and appreciate you joining us here on Seahawks Today. All right. We are good, I believe, on that front. We do have some super chats to pay off here. We'll get to those here real quick. And before we sign off, Jeremy, I believe we had a couple 5s and then a 10. And
let's see.
I know Matt sent in a few.
We had 110 and 15.
110 and 15. Let's go ahead and
2
get to those. 2 10s.
This is Matt's other 10. I'll pull that up.
Okay.
Here we go.
And then another 10 just came in from Matt, too.
Who are you picking?
With first-round picks,
yeah.
If you're Seattle GM, keep up and wait for the shots. So I'll go ahead and pour this shot. Who am I picking? I mean, if C.J. Stroud's around, I'm taking C.J. Stroud. I don't think C.J. Stroud's going to be there, though. I think that realistically, Seattle's looking at, probably Tyree Wilson, I would think is the odds-on favorite at 5. And then for that 20th selection, there's a number of guys. Could be Joey Porter Jr., could be Osiris. We'll see where they go. What about you, Jeremy, with those 2 picks? I pour this.
I like Osiris at 20. I really feel like Will Anderson or Jalen Carter could fall to 5.
If they do, you take either one.
If there's teams willing to jump up and take quarterbacks, I think that's a possibility. The Bears are trying their hardest to get out of the first pick.
Yeah, they are.
And then the Texans are more than likely going to take a quarterback. I don't know.
Let's see here. The other $10 super chat that came in.
We did that on the.
We did that on the mailbag.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you
I'll
want to
take the shot to it though.
I'll go ahead and sing the song.
Okay.
Chomping, Carol's chomping, Gino passes, no one stopping, DK. Touchdowns all day,
he rules. Jaden just came in with $5 super
If we
chat.
re-sign Penny, could we use him? Nope. He's an injured running back. You won't get.
You're not going to get anything.
You're not going to get anything at all.
Nobody. And plus, like NFL teams, despite what they may appear sometimes, they're relatively smart. They're not going to, trade for somebody they could have had.
Zeke is a way better running back than Rashaad Penny, and he is not going to get traded for anything.
That's another song, though. Chomping, Carol's chomping, Gino passes, no one stopping, DK. Touchdowns all day, he rules. All right. That about does it. We got to sign off. Jeremy has a Stars game to go to. What do you think about the Stars tonight?
I think it'll be a good game. They're playing the Wild. Both teams are high up in the rankings.
When's the last time you went to a Stars game?
Last year.
Okay. I'm going on a date Saturday to a Stars game myself.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll report back on that later, folks. Subscribe to the channel for free. It does not cost you a thing. Jeremy Chuggs, my man, always a pleasure. Glad to have you back this week. We will see you all next week, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Have a great